Okay. All right.
Bob, how's life treating you?
Oh, you used to be a county commissioner in Colorado.
Yep.
Kansas City.
I remember.
That's right before you.
I'm going to Kansas City next month.
Are you really? Right when your movie come out, and of course the song, the theme song, moved me. And every time I was on my phone. Song, think about that presentation. But it was an excellent presentation. It'll be shorter today. I think they're trying to get started now. So I'm appreciate you joining us. I appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much.
Good to see you. Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Are we ready to go? Henry, how are you? So good to see you. I saw you across the room earlier. I look forward. I've got some things we need to talk about. Good to see you. Friends, welcome. If you would go ahead and come on in, we'll get started. We welcome you to the first ever United States Fiscal Responsibility Amendment Academy. And we welcome you to the Valley of the Mountains in the West in Salt Lake City. We're so grateful to have you here. We're grateful for those of you that are here in person. We're grateful for those of you that are gathered online. We call Salt Lake the crossroads of the West and the crossroads of the world, and we hope and pray that we are the crossroads to restoring our constitutional system in a way that we pass on a legacy that we received so gratefully. I'm Ken Ivory. I was elected to 5 terms in the Utah House of Representatives. I had the great privilege of being elected to serve as the chair of the first ever simulated convention of states in Williamsburg, Virginia in 2016, and then also to serve as the vice chair of the Arizona Balanced Budget Planning Convention a couple of years ago as well. Worked feverishly with a number of my colleagues, many of whom are here, to pass the Balanced Budget Amendment and the Convention of States resolution in Utah. But most importantly, I'm a dad, and I'm now a grandfather in the midst of all of this effort. Thank you. I would show you the pictures. I understand the appeal of that now. 2 times over, a third coming in October. And that simply just underscores the importance of what we're doing. You're sitting in a place, many of you hopefully have had the opportunity to see the Salt Lake Temple, an edifice that was built over the course of 40 years out of the extreme poverty of the people that came here to sacrifice for those that would come after. I have an ancestor, Thomas Davenport, who came from England to New Orleans and took the paddle boat up to St. Louis. And then his journal simply says, walked across the plains without incident. 1,800 miles. Many others that came and settled this valley, they came pulling handcarts through the snow in extreme conditions for a simple reason. They wanted to get to a place where they would have liberty and they could pass on a legacy to their children. And they left to form that on their own. And as they were coming, they had these handcarts as they were coming. They left late. They were in extreme conditions as they were crossing through the plains. Again, literally pulling everything they owned in a handcart. And their daily ration of food was 8 ounces of flour. And as they crossed and they were pulling across the plains to get to somewhere where they could build a life and pass on a legacy, they found that their strongest men were falling dead along the trail. And of course, the captains of the company were extremely concerned. Why are our strongest men falling by the wayside? And what they discovered was in their daily ration of flour, their strongest men were scooping their rations of flour into their children's pouch so that their children could arrive safely to a place where they would inherit the opportunities for liberty and a legacy and to live a life of prosperity. We have a wonderful opportunity right now, you as state leaders and state representatives, to be part of that same legacy. We have, if I can pull up here. You've all seen this, of course. This is not the dynamic one, so of course it's changed dramatically since 28 trillion, 500 billion. I think I printed that out this morning, so we're probably close to another trillion by now. But it's astronomical. Benjamin Franklin made the statement, think what you do when you run in debt. You give another power over your liberty. Think what you do when you run in debt. Think what we do when we allow the national government to run in debt. We give another power over our liberty, the liberty of our children and grandchildren. This was not that long ago. You can't keep these cartoons in date. But that liberty is very real. You're going to hear today from scholars and academicians and tacticians and practitioners that are some of the best in the world on the subjects that they'll be speaking to you, to look at ways that you can take the power that you've been given as constitutional officers under the United States Constitution to restore that balance, to take those scoops of flour to pass to our children, that they have the opportunity that we were so blessed to have as we came through. It just, I shudder to think what we're passing on with our children. We've been kicking the can down the road for so long, I'm afraid we can't kick the can any longer. We can't pass that legacy of 28 trillion and building on debt that's growing at an astronomical rate. We have the opportunity to do something. We have the opportunity, as Reagan said, we've been blessed with the opportunity to stand for something. And so in the course of what is going to happen over the course of the next few hours, we're going to have an opportunity to counsel. You'll have an opportunity to ask questions. You'll have an opportunity to convene with one another and convene as states and to actually vote on various questions and matters as we prepare to move forward to a situation where we may be able to convene states in a convention of states to consider how we restore fiscal sanity to the United States of America. Presently, as you'll hear in the coming presentations, we stand at 33 states. 33 states have passed some form of fiscal responsibility amendment, proposal requesting an amendment. We're simply one state away from being able to actually convene as states. And many will say, oh my gosh, that's too frightening. How could we ever convene as states? How could we ever do this thing under the Constitution that's never been done before? Well, we've never had $28.5 trillion in debt before. We've never had it growing at such an exponential rate before. And if we don't take that action, we know of a certainty where that will lead, and you'll hear much more about that today. Some of the housekeeping items, we have many joining us online. We have a number joining us here in this beautiful Grand America Hotel. And so as we're convening and working, we have both online and in person. We ask you attending to go ahead and join online. We'll be doing some polling through the Zoom feature. So if you have not signed into the link, we'd ask you, those that are here in attendance, to sign into the Zoom link and then please mute your audio on your device. But that's how you're going to be able to do the polling as we go forward today. So if anyone doesn't have the link, if you would raise your hand, we have people in the back that can help you get signed on. We'll need to get you with your devices logged in. When you do log in, we should all be very familiar with Zoom at this point, with the workings of that. In order to do the polling, what we would ask is you go into the participants button, and I think
If you've been taking COPD sitting down, it's time to make a stand. Start a new day with Trelegy. No once daily COPD medicine has the power to treat COPD in as many ways as Trelegy. With 3 medicines and 1 inhaler, Trelegy helps people breathe easier and improves lung function. It also helps prevent future flares.
So as you see here,
Trelegy won't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking it. Do not take Trelegy more than prescribed.
As you get into as you log into the Zoom feature, there we go. As you log into the Zoom feature, you'll see a participants box. What we would ask you to do is in the participants box, you can go to the right and you can click and change the name that you have as a participant. And so if you log in and you click, I don't know if you can demonstrate this, but if you simply click, and we're all Zoom experts by now. So if you click on the left of your name, you can change your name. What we'd ask you to do is put the state initials of your state. So my friends from Utah, if you'll put UT hyphen and then your last name as your name in the Zoom participant. Our good friends from Idaho and others here, if you'll log, ID and then your last name, that will allow us to tabulate the results by state. And so we'd ask you to do that both here in the hall, and then those of us that are joining online, same thing. If you'll go to the participant section and then hit the sections, change your name and put, for example, I see Dan Larson there. We'll go change the name to WY-Larson. And if we can get everyone to do that, that will allow us to then, as we come to a number of polling questions, that will allow us to tabulate the polling results by state. I see some of those moving forward. Very good. Very good. We're seeing that online. So Jim, if we get you to first put your state initials, so the New Hampshire that we have, go NH-last name. It's a wonderful thing. We see this working as we go. What's going to happen as we go along, you're going to have the opportunity to ask questions from national experts. You've got experts on the legal aspects of Article 5, on the economic aspects of our fiscal situation, on the process aspects, the political aspects of how to get the 34th state to pass this resolution that we get to the point of a convention of states and be able to move this forward. We'll have a number of issues as we come forward. You'll have polling questions that'll pop up in the Zoom result. We'll be able to pull those out automatically and be able to see those results. But again, the purpose here, is to help you as state leaders satisfy any questions you may have, be able to counsel together, commit together, that we can push this organization to the finish line, that we get that 34th state seeking this resolution to convene states in a convention of states, that we can take this journey and take this fiscal journey in a place that's going to pass on opportunity to our children. We can end this madness that's rolling down on our children, this can that's been kicked down the road to them so drastically over the last number of years. And that's within your constitutional power, and there's no one else that it falls to. It may seem daunting, and indeed it is. But those are the best journeys and the most important opportunities that we have. Ronald Reagan in 1989, at what seemed to be absolutely perilous times, said, "This is an absolutely wonderful time to be alive. We're lucky not to live in pale and timid times." And I think he would admire our days when he said that then. We're lucky not to live in pale and timid times. He said, we've been blessed with the opportunity to stand for something, for liberty and freedom and fairness. These are things worth fighting for, worth devoting our lives to. He said, so let us go forth with good cheer and stout hearts, happy warriors, out to seize back a country and a world to freedom. And I would say a nation to the fiscal sanity that our children and our grandchildren deserve. Friends, with this in mind, again, if you'll take the participants and please get your name in under the participants boxes, last name initial, and then, or state initial, state abbreviation, hyphen your last name. That'll enable us as we get to the polling. We have a wonderful program for you. I would tell you that obviously hotels are not cheap. Convening meetings like this is not an inexpensive undertaking. There are people who have committed themselves for themselves, their family, their children, their grandchildren, out of concern for where this is going. And we owe a great deal of thanks and a great debt of gratitude to those that have put this together. There is a Let Us Vote for BBA organization. David Bidoff has been heading that. Considerable sacrifice and effort to help pull this together. Many others that have helped pull this together. I would ask you simply just to join me in a round of applause for the people that have helped bring this organization together. We first have an opportunity to hear from someone that needs no introduction, but since I get to introduce him, I'm going to take a privilege to do a little bit of that. Mr. David Walker, the Honorable David Walker, served as the head of the United States Government Accountability Office, the Comptroller General of the United States, under two different administrations from both parties. He's served as a presidential appointee under three different presidents, a number of books. This is a man that, as again, really needs no introduction, but to tell us he's been on the front lines, he's been on been on the wall to look at these issues of fiscal responsibility. And it is my great privilege to turn the time over and introduce to you Mr. David Walker.